paid and free. So you have free version of all the ones that I'll be talking about. So once you do that, you can send it to your children. Your children can listen to it. This is also helpful if you are fond of a flipped classroom. So we'll be talking about flipped classroom as and when we reach there. But again, one thing I'd like to mention here. Okay, please tell me if I have to go bilingual, I'll do that as well. So one thing I'd like to mention here is that although I've put it in 3 different domains, but they all overlap each other in some way or the other. Everything is interconnected, right? So that's what podcasts do. And once you start using it, you'll suddenly find yourself so empowered that you wouldn't want to sit in front of the screen and record, or sorry, type and then send assessments or send any kind of notes to your children. You would want to record your own uh, content, and you have that option or a dashboard where you can save them. So it's not, once you've created something, it stays there forever. So if you have done with one set of children and somebody did not understand it well, you can ask them to go back to it and listen to it and then answer, whether it is a comprehension set or whether it is you're going to pose a question, because you will have to find ways to assess your students. How you're going to do is use podcasts. So that's one way of doing it, right? One of
Ma'am, I
my,
have a question. May I?
yes, please.
This is Priyanka Verma from Patna,
Yeah.
teacher from DAV Public School, Transport Nagar.
Yes,
My
Priyanka.
question is that you just talked about creating podcasts. What is the basic difference between creating a podcast or doing a normal recording on a mobile phone? Because each mobile has a recorder in
Yes,
itself,
yes, yes.
so, and we
I,
can save it as well. So,
yes,
what is the basic difference between a normal recording and a podcast?
I'll tell you that. Well, I'm glad you asked me that question.
Thank you.
Again, before I forget, I'll also mention this at the end of the presentation. There's also a link how best to explore your cell phone. Coming to Priyanka's question, uh, it's very easy to share notes with WhatsApp. So why do
Yeah.
we need to do anything at all? Because WhatsApp has a video calling. It has a, you can share pictures, you can share audio notes, you can share just about everything on WhatsApp. Yet, if we are still exploring, because it is more, let's say, organized, it is more formal, and
Okay.
you can edit, you can go back and edit and then share it. I'm sure you will be teaching. If you're a teacher, you're going to be in this profession for a while. So it
Yeah.
kind of, you kind of maintain a portfolio of all this when you use the right tool to help your learners. That's the
Okay.
reason. Otherwise, in an emergency, or rather, I've seen most of the parent and the teacher community both prefer using WhatsApp over everything else, right? I mean, because that's the most common. Somebody is using writing on screen. So my suggestion is, please
I
don't
will
experiment.
request to kindly
Yeah, it kind of
maintain the
disturbs. Yeah.
decorum, sir, ma'am. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I now if we can move to the next three things that you can see on your screen. One is your MOOCs. I'll expand the full form of MOOCs. Then is your Skillshare and your YouTube. MOOC stands for Massive Online Open Courses, or uh, I've forgotten what the S stands for, but it is massive online open courses which teachers can access for free, as well as the paid versions. Most courses are for free. However, if you wish to take a certification for what you've done, you have to take a certain assessment, which is a paid assessment. And once you clear that assessment, which is online, of course, and timed, so once you clear that assessment, you get your digital certificate. You also get, I've done a certain course from IIT Madras. It also, they also sent me a hard copy of the certificate. Now each course is differently, it has a different fee. So they may begin from 700, 1500. Average is somewhere around 4-5,000 rupees a course. However, as again I'm reiterating, these courses are also for free if you don't go in for the formal assessment for yourself, or if you don't go in for the certifications. I've done few very fantastic courses from MOOCs, and they're all top-notch universities across the world, right from Harvard to Indian IITs. So I have added these links again at the end of my presentation. So you'll have access to not only Indian universities offering MOOCs, you will also have access to a lot of foreign universities who offer MOOCs. Yes, so I have that
Supati, can you
microphone
just
off.
allow me 1 minute? Let me just.
Yeah.
So we'll have to keep doing this because the audience is fairly diverse and large in number.
Connection.
Supati, you'll have to unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, so coming to the next one, now Skillshare, personally, I find it very interesting. Although it really does not have much to do with your classroom scenario, however, it has got to do with a lot to do with your own personal upgradation or your, let's say if you like something, if you have a hobby.
Ma'am, can you be a little louder? It's very difficult to hear you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
How does that sound now? Am I loud
No,
enough?
ma'am. A few of your words we are missing in between.
Maybe that's the
Now
internet
it's fine.
Loud and
It's
connection.
clear.
fine.
You're
It's
very
fine.
loud
Thank
and
you.
clear. You're very loud and clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
loud and clear. It might be the
At your
Now
problem.
it's fine, ma'am.
It could be the internet
No,
connectivity,
it's
the
absolutely
instability.
fine now, ma'am. Thank you
Fine,
so
fine.
much.
So no problem. I'll hold the mic
Thank
like
you,
this.
ma'am.
So Skillshare is a platform which initial 2 months are for free. So you can go online, register yourself and explore whatever creative design, technology, business, illustration related skill that you need to acquire. So I found it an exceptional platform. I've taken a paid registration for it because I really learn a lot from this platform. After 2 months, it is $10 a month. So even if let's say for 2 months you do something and you find it interesting, you can continue, but then you have to pay for it. So I think it helps if you pay, let's say for even few months. So it won't cost a dent to your pocket, yet you'll end up learning a lot. And it is by the experts in their field. It's not just by anybody, it's by the experts in their field. So instead of you going out and looking for a course that you want to do, skill-based course, I think Skillshare is a good platform to be registered on. So you must explore this. How many of you have explored YouTube as a teaching channel for yourself? I know we all use
Myself,
YouTube.
ma'am.
Yeah, I know everybody uses YouTube to learn from, right? Have you created
Ma'am,
as a
I've
teacher?
done.
Let's say you're a science teacher.
Yes,
So
ma'am, I have done it.
so very fantastic. Good to know that. So my suggestion is create your own channel on YouTube. If you want to keep it
I do have.
private and share it only with your class, you can do that,
Ma'am,
or you
even
can
I
make
do
it
have.
public and share it.
So
So
I
that's
have made it public,
okay.
and not only the scenario of pandemic, I have been using YouTube as my one of my strongest teaching tool for the last 3 years.
Fantastic. Lovely to hear that. So YouTube, when you're making videos for yourself, again, you have to make it slightly professionally because of the entire world will be watching you on that, not just your own children. So it helps if you kind of set up a certain protocol, a good background, and you are planned and prepared, although you can do the editing in the video before you upload it. You can use it as a live medium as well. Your lessons could be as short as 5 minutes a video or 1 minute a video or as long as 1 hour a video. But going by what children like, they like podcasts, they like things in piecemeal, in smaller portions. So my suggestion is, if you create a YouTube channel first, create a lot of video information content about your chapter, your subject. So even if let's say you are uncomfortable facing the camera, you can still do it with the book or with the help of your computer, sharing your computer and recording that and sharing it on YouTube, right?
Ma'am, again, I have a
So
question.
yes,
Can
please.
you please let me know about more about YouTube Live?
Oh, you'll have to explore because it's like giving a lesson on, because I'll have to go to the dashboard and then explain
Okay,
it to you.
okay,
So
I'll do
if
it.
you have a YouTube channel, go to
Yeah, I
your
do have.
dashboard. Go to your dashboard. There's a little inverted triangle. If you click on it,
Yeah.
it opens a lot of icons. So you will get
Okay.
that on it. Okay.
Suppose I want to get my students catch me live, so I'll have to notify them well in advance
Yes,
that at 5 o'clock
well,
I'll be.
yes. You
Okay.
have to announce. And plus, there is a little lag in the live versus what you're doing. So a lag could be 30 seconds or a minute. This is what I've observed myself. But then it hardly matters. It is still live. All right. So just like Facebook, I will be coming to a lot of
Okay.
platforms which I feel a lot of you are more comfortable using and use it more. I mean, it's more commonly used. So I'll be sharing that as well with you. That how even the most common platform can be used as a technology hack for you as a teacher, as a teaching tool, as a tool for sharing information. So these are the three. I mean, as I said, I started with something which is common or something you're more comfortable using, and I'm moving towards something which you may or may not have heard of, right? So, as I said, since I can't do an interactive, how many of you have heard of this and how many of you have tried it? But I will just go by what is there in front of my screen and kind of share it with you. So, Peer Deck is an interactive presentation tool uh, which is used to actively engage students in social learning. So teachers create presentations using their Google Drive account, and those slides are converted into engagement tools for the children via peer Deck. So you don't have to kind of show it separately to your children. The same content is converted into a learning material for your children. So if you've created or if you have downloaded there are a lot of free PowerPoints available on the internet, which are based on your content or your chapters. So you can download it, you can customize it, you can make it how you would want it. And then if you have an account on Peer Deck, it converts into, so basically what it does, it engages children in a more customized and self-directed learning. That's what it does. Coming to Animoto, if you've heard, it animates your pictures, your photos, your video clips, your text, your music based on the existing curriculum and how you would want to do it. Children absolutely love this one. So what I'm talking about self-learning is something.
अब मैंने तो म्यूट भी कर दिया है, ये क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? नॉट कर.
So if you're using all these for yourself, at the same time the same things also can be introduced to your children, your students, your learners, depending on which age group they are.
Ma'am, could you
Middle
just
schoolers
repeat
or upper
the
primary.
Animoto?
Yes. Okay. Animoto is a web tool which allows you to.
हेडसेट कहाँ से ढूंढूं? बड़ी खटरान है अभी.
Why to say some teachers are not aware of the meeting
I know
status.
that. I mean, it's okay. People are
I
learning.
think everyone should mute their mics.
So it is to produce videos, to blend photos, to blend diagrams, to blend your pictures that you've taken of a certain text or a screenshot, and add some clips and text and music. So it animates your entire learning content, your curriculum. So it's very different from your regular video making processes, which is there on your phone or on certain apps like InShot and all. It is more based to cater to the education field. So that is what Animoto does. If you go on and explore it, you'll love it. That's something I
Create
wanna share.
watermark also.
Yeah. So that I wouldn't know whether the free version allows or not, but I'm sure you can.
To a certain extent, to a certain styling.
Because all free versions don't allow you to put a watermark because they have their own, although the paid ones they do. So how does it matter? Or you can still put your own watermark along with theirs, right? So of course they would want their advertisement. They want their advertisement or their name going on the free version of the tool that you're using. Right?
Ma'am, all these three have the paid and free versions both.
All of them, whatever I'll be presenting they are either free or they have free and paid both. So there is even for Skillshare, as mentioned, 2 months are for free for you to explore, and 2 months are good enough for you to register and find whether you like that platform or not, right? coming to Edmodo, it's again an educational website which takes the ideas of almost on the lines of social network and refines them to make it appropriate to classroom usage or match up the curriculum that you intend to use in the classroom. So using Edmodo, students and teachers can reach out to one another, connect by sharing ideas, problems, and offer helpful tips, not just within the same community, but if you make it public again, can be shared by a lot of teachers from our fraternity, the teaching community. Right? So that's what Edmodo does. I have covered the self-learning bit of the. I'm keeping a tab of time because it shouldn't happen that we run out of time. We have time, right? Yes. So coming to the organizing part. So what exactly is organizing? Is yes, somebody wants to ask me something. Okay. Organizing. How, as a teacher, can you get organized using tech hacks so that your life is simpler and you have curated stuff that's going to last you, if not eternity, at least for the few sessions to come with few editing done and all. Again, I have a list of 8 of these tools. I'll be starting with the most easiest one. May I request somebody not to scribble screen? It kind of distracts me from looking at what I am seeing. This is distractive.
Ma'am, in this one, the last option will be there where you can just mark it there and you will know who is doing this. And we
I wouldn't want to go into it because that I'll lose time. I would request the host of the meeting to kindly look into.
Yes, because we can just stop it. Because children keep doing like this, so we
Also, can you tell me which is the way as a host? How can I stop it for that matter?
Yes, sir. I will just send you. I'll send you now.
Just send me how.
I'll send you, sir. Next time, ma'am will carry on.
Okay.
I'll just tell you how it should go.
So I'll continue because I don't want to lose my time over it. Starting with this of something that all of us use. I know for sure that some of you would be doing it, but not everybody would be doing it. How organized are you with your email box? Even with whichever email box are you using, whether it is Yahoo, Gmail, or Microsoft, or whichever. Within your email box, you have a whole lot of inbuilt ways to organize your mails and yet be absolutely up to date with having answered all your mails or checked all your mails. So kindly go today and open your email box and explore all the little icons that you see alongside a mail that you receive or within the dashboard that you see. So there'll be a little ribbon or a band or a star or a square. Try and click on it and see what does it do. And you will be fascinated to know that suddenly you will be able to control your mailbox in such a beautiful manner that you'll never feel frustrated that you got a barrage of mails and you've not answered them. So you can create different folders, you can create different headers, you can highlight mails, you can mark mails in which folder it should go whenever it arrives in your mailbox. So that's something you must explore because you've been using email forever. It's time that you, especially this lockdown time, you should sit down and kind of organize your mailbox, and you'll be very happy to know what all you can do with it. Thank you. Coming to Google Drive, I think one of the most commonly used features of Google that all of us use. It can be shared. You can carry just about all your, it's like a storage service which allows you to store various files to the cloud and then access it whether on your phone, tablet, or your computer. So you can store your documents, your images, your videos, or you can back up your entire PC. And at the same time, you can also share different components, files, folders, images with somebody you wish to share individually. So it's not that you will share the entire drive.
Mute your phone, please. Lot of disturbance is going on.
So I don't think I need to elaborate much on it. I'm sure you would.
Sorry to disturb, ma'am. Sir, I have already shared it with you.
Yeah, thank you. I've done it. I think if you see the screen, it is clear,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's clean. It's clean. I said thank
Yeah.
you for it.
Thank you very much, Rashmi. Yeah.
And
Thank you,
Gaurav, one
Rashmi.
more request. The session is so good. Why don't you, from admin side, mute everyone and don't allow us
I have
to.
done it. I have done it. That is a challenge that some of them have possibly disabled it, whatever they have done it. I have no idea that I have muted
Unmuted them.
all. Hmm.
Ma'am, please, can you go back from mail?
It's okay.
From
People
mail,
will learn.
that slide, please. The back slide. I just missed it.
The previous
Yes,
one. This
previous
one.
one, ma'am.
Because
So
she was sharing it with me.
Yeah, I was
So
sharing it. Fine.
yeah. So coming to the next slide, in the same this thing, organizing. Notepad is something which is available on your phone as well as if you have on your PC as well. So in most phones, it's an inbuilt application. Wherever it is not, kindly download one. It is a beautiful way of keeping notes of just about everything under the sun. All you have to do is figure out your way how you're going to do it and start using it. Once you start using it, I don't think you'll ever go back to a paper and a pen. You will always be dependent on your notepad. I think we'll have to find out who this is and mute it. So if you could just look at all the tile
Just one
screens.
thing.
Yes, please.
And the host may go to the setting, and there is an option of certain restrictions to be imposed on the guest.
Yeah, that's what they'll have to find out who it is.
The challenge is, I thought we were dealing with decorum-led teachers, right? Who eventually.
Actually, sir, there is one more problem. Many of us are not that techno savvy. The moment we are entering, we are not knowing how to unmute or mute ourselves. That is one of the
चलिए मैं
problem.
आपकी बात ठीक मान लेता
And
हूँ,
people
but
think
I am
that they're speaking
unmuting all of
softly,
you and
but
I'm
even
muting
the
you
little
all over
whisper
again.
sounds enormous.
No problem. चलिए, कोई बात नहीं.
It's okay.
Supati, you'll have to unmute yourself.
I will.
Let's not chip in. So all are chipping in unnecessarily. Let everybody talk.
Hold on. चलिए बात कर लीजिए एक बार 5 मिनट सबको बात कर लीजिए जिसको बात करना है और उसके बाद म्यूट करते हैं ठीक है ना अभी क्या हो रहा है कि अभी क्या हो रहा है कि आप लोग मान ही नहीं रहे चलिए एनीवे कोई बात नहीं लेट्स ट्राई टू डू इट वंस
हेलो
अब नहीं कर पाएंगे चलिए अब नहीं कर पाएगा कोई अपने आप को अब आप चलिए मैंने आई हैव डन दैट ठीक है Supati, just unmute yourself. Let me unmute you. In fact, you might not be able to unmute yourself. I think that's let me just unmute you. Okay. Then now rest of them cannot unmute themselves. Chalo. Supati, yeah. Are you? No, not yet audible. Hold on. Chalo. Go ahead.
Now, yeah. Thank you, Gaurav.
Now it should work because now no one can unmute themselves. Yes.
Thank you so much. So coming to another fantastic, I just love this one, and I've been using it for the past, I think, almost when it was founded, almost 9 years ago. Pinterest. So people may think that Pinterest is only for art and craft or all those beautiful HD images of all these stylized homes and food and stuff like that. But you will be surprised what Pinterest has to offer in terms of education, in terms of your curriculum, in terms of whatever you're looking for under the sun. All you have to do, again, it's a free tool. All you have to do is make an account and start pinning things. The term that they use there is pin. So it's like if you like something, I remember as a little girl, I used to like a lot of colorful pictures in the magazines, and I used to tear them and create a big folder of all those pages. So, so that was like a Pinterest for me. So what Pinterest does for you is exactly the same. Create different folders. So if you're an English teacher and you need a lot of writing prompts, or you need a lot of comprehension passages, or you need a picture comprehension. So you just type that on Pinterest. You like some, it leads you to a certain blog or a certain website. So you like something, pin it, create a folder, put your stuff in it. You'll never have to go back and hunt for what you want. So you may have as many folders as you want with beautiful pictures, which are very effective when you're trying to engage children as well while using it in the classroom. Pinterest, however, is exclusively for you as a teacher, where you are curating stuff for yourself. So you cannot really use it in the class as an education tool, but for your own research and for your own learning and for your own curation, you can use it as a very nice technology tool. You can teach your children how to use Pinterest and create their own Pinterest accounts and start collecting stuff that they like, and they would love it. I mean, I know of some of my children who have curated some amazing stuff on arrow modeling. You just have to teach them. Instagram, I'm sure everybody knows. How many of you have tried exploring Instagram for education or for teaching? Have you ever tried to explore? Yeah, I can see Apeksha raise her hand. No, that is a no, Apeksha. It's okay. So I'll quickly lead you through it so that if you have an Instagram account, you can explore it tonight itself with a couple of your friends, right? Thank you. So if you have an Instagram account, my suggestion, instead of your personal account, create another Instagram account and name it. So you can name it Apeksha's class, because you can't be making Instagram accounts every year if you have a different class. So Apeksha's class could be grade 5 this year, could be grade 6 next year, could be grade 4 the other year. It will always remain Apeksha's class. Okay. So once you have an Instagram account with that name, you can start curating stuff and posting content information in the picture grids, the three picture grids, the tiled formations that you have. So whatever you find, post it, allow your children, share it with them, make it a private account, allow only children of, like if you have 25 children in your class, give the invite only to those 25, or maybe your co-teacher if you want, or other section children. That's completely your call. My suggestion is, I mean, it's completely your call whether you want to, if you want to become a popular teacher, keep it open. If you want to only teach your own children, make it private. That's your call to make. But that's how you can use Instagram. And another thing that can do beautifully well with just a cell phone in your hand and an Instagram account is, what you do on YouTube is something that you can do on Instagram as well, because Instagram has this feature called IGTV, Instagram television, right? So that's your channel. So if it's a pictures class, it is a pictures class. So today she can probably, if a picture is, let's say, a science teacher and she wants to teach a certain content, or let's say she wants to talk about a respiratory cycle, and she knows her children, they don't have books at home because it's a lockdown. So what do? How do they get access to the content? Although they can Google and find it, or maybe you can send a photo on a WhatsApp. There are 100 other ways. But how to engage children in a way that they would love it is what I'm trying to tell you and share with you. So you can read out in a video form, or if you're comfortable with being in front of the camera, or you can read out with the book in front of you and keep the camera focused on the book. Put it on your IGTV, name it, and it is going to stay there forever. Now give task to your children in the same, as you write a little post, micro post under Instagram, put questions there. So what is respiratory systems? What are the organs involved? So you can put that and ask your children that, give them a time frame. Okay, only between 6 to 6:30 we are going to do. That's your science period. Comment with your responses. I've done it with Twitter. I've done it with Instagram. It works beautifully well. I am off lately with the lockdown thing. I am taking few classes of some NGOs based in Uttarakhand and in Punjab, and I do a lot of online live IGTV with them, because I find it, they are fond of it, that platform, and I find it easy as well. So it's become a super hit with those NGO children, and I also love it. So my suggestion is, try and explore. I'm sure you'll like it. And again, as I said, it's one of the most commonly used platforms, so you will be more familiar with the dashboard around. Coming to the Oh, somehow my PowerPoint is not moving. Okay. Okay, so this is again keeping yourself organized. Download. Some phones have it inbuilt. Google Voice Notes have it. That's how you can Google it as well. So there's a little icon with a microphone. If you open your phone and instead of typing what you want to Google, if you just speak to it, it Googles it for you. So that's one way of say researching or net surfing. Other than that, there are apps with which if you just speak, it types out. So it saves you a lot of time. So let's say if you're doing dusting at home, or if you're watering your plants these days, because all of us are doing all that, you can still type while you are doing all that. So there will be few errors which you can definitely edit later on, but 90% of your job will be done just by speaking. Okay? Try this with your phone. Okay, coming to the next one, which is your Nearpod. So what Nearpod does is, so telling you about the voice notes with the typing with your voice. You have it in your Microsoft Word as well as on the Android cell phones. I do not. I'm sure there would be on iPhone, but I am not a iPhone user, so I really don't know much about iPhone. I'm not an iPhone fan. Nearpod is an instructional platform which merges your formative assessment uh, into dynamic media for collaborative learning experiences. Although it is paid, but a lot of curriculum content is for free, which you can customize it, especially for formative assessments. And I'm talking about, I deliberately brought in this now they are, because as I said, we really do not know when are we going to come back to the so-called normal school routine. So how do we do assessments which do justice to student learning and your teaching? So this is a beautiful platform. Try and explore. So all your assessment needs will be taken care of. And if not all, then it will definitely give you idea of how you can do it. As I said, hack is all about making your life simpler with a tool which may or may not be intended for the same purpose. So you just hack it. For example, if you don't have a tripod at home, yet you want your camera standing while you're making a video, you'll think of something. You'll probably take a tongs or a chimta from kitchen and put it on a jug, or maybe stack it on the books. That's a hack. So that's what we are doing with the so-called social media platforms. All these what I've been sharing, they are intended for something else, but we are hacking them into using it as a learning tool or a teaching tool. URL shorteners. This is something. I mean, it's a way to get yourself organized. You will see the same URL shorteners in the PDF that we will share with you at the end of this session. So what it does is, if you have seen the URLs, you know they go miles and miles long. They're really cryptic, lot of alphabets and characters, and they're really huge. And you can't really memorize it. Forget about even typing it. So you either copy, and usme se bhi if one odd letter goes missing or a character goes missing, the URL is of waste. So URL shortener, there are free. Earlier Google URL shortener, I mean that used to be my favorite, but now they've stopped. So my current favorite is Tiny URL. You'll have it in your PDF. You will see that I've shared it there, but I'm just sharing it with you. So that's a website where you go online, whatever you've copied, you put it in a little frame that they have, the box, and you click short URL, and your whatever character, if it is 140, 50, 60, 200 character URL, it is shortened to 28 characters. So it's just a 28 character URL which leads you to the same website. So you'll see that in the, as I said, PDF that we will be sharing it with you. So it helps if you're sending any kind of a link to your children, instead of sending the entire URL, convert it into, take it to a shortener, make it short and send that. It's easier for them to use it. last but not the least, one of the very important ones, that if I am today sitting here and sharing, and I keep saying that I'm not an expert, but I love exploring what and what makes my life easier. Uh, and I love sharing it, because sometimes when you share it, the other person, when they explore, they come out with something that you've not yet explored or not yet figured out. So it helps when you share it with others. So it is very important, whatever you are acquiring, whatever skill you are learning, you share it. The more you share, the better you get at it. So that's how, or what I believe in. So this is a list of I can't see it. Okay, again, I've used the most common ones. You can see Facebook right on top, right? Because I know everybody has a Facebook account. Everybody. Twitter, I am not very sure everybody would have. The other very commonly used platform is your Instagram and YouTube. I'll start with the most common three. That's the Facebook. So Facebook, excuse me. So if you have a Facebook account, either create a page for yourself, call it, again Apeksha, I'll be using your name because it's stuck now. So call it Apeksha's Classroom. Of course, you can call it your whatever name you want to give it to, and that becomes your page, right? And whatever we discussed so far can be done on a Facebook page as well. And you can keep it private, have only your class members and their parents, so that in case, like I just did an online PTM. In fact, it's still going on. So we are doing a 3-day online PTM. It started yesterday. We're going to continue for the next 2 days. You can do your little chit chats, your conversations on that private Facebook page, which you have shared with your parent group and your class group. You can share course content, your curriculum, considering children don't have books now. So even that Facebook page, instead of sharing or forwarding other stuff that we do on Facebook, why not turn it into a classroom which everyone has access to and would be happily using it, because they know the dashboard well. So you can start off using that as well. Twitter, again, I love this medium, not only to connect with a lot of similar or like-minded people across the world, teachers, educators. You can also have your private conversations by making groups within Twitter. And what I really like, and this particular platform I love with the older children, especially the 11th and 12th graders, because I teach them any subject. In the recent past, I was teaching them psychology. So I used to give them a task, a question, which I would base or rather create in such a manner which I know they'll not be able to Google, or even if they Googled and researched for the answer, they will have to get the answer down to 240 characters. If they are doing that, I know my children have read well enough to be able to concise that big research or reading into 240 characters. And we had a fixed time that 6 o'clock I'll post the question and I expect the answer by within an hour's time. I used to grade them like that and they used to love it. And my job was done because I know to create a 240 character answer, they had to read a lot, so a lot of English practice was happening automatically without me doing anything. A lot of reading was happening, a lot of editing was happening, and they were giving me beautiful answers. So use it for your formative assessments. It's a beautiful tool without writing any nonsense, just 240 characters. Same goes for Instagram. I think I've already talked about it a lot. It also is a beautiful sharing tool between amongst the teacher fraternity and the student and the parent community. The last one again is for the YouTube. I think I've spoken enough. It not only is for self-learning, it is for organizing by creating your own channel. It is also for sharing. So as I said in the beginning, that all of these things overlap depending on how you intend or how you hack it to your need. You want to use it only for curating stuff, that's your YouTube channel. You want to use it to organize your lessons, that's your YouTube channel. You want to use your YouTube channel for sharing it with the world, that's your YouTube channel. So it all depends how you want to hack it to use this particular medium. Some of you can go ahead and use or write blogs. Some of us write beautifully well, and they just write it to themselves or share it with their class, and it never goes out. My suggestion is start writing blogs. If you have been a teacher, you share your experiences, not just curriculum, your grievances and how you overcame them, your success mantras, your little tips and suggestions, because there are people who would love to read it, and you would gain a lot with your insight and not make the same mistake that probably you made. So there are free platforms. There is a WordPress and there's a Blogger, although they can be made into paid. However, you won't need a paid one, because within the free dashboard of both these, the Blogger or the WordPress, you have enough manipulations, you can customizations that you can create. It looks like almost like a beautiful customized website which totally belongs to you. Comments can be moderated, so not everybody can comment if you don't wish to, or you can set comments to checking by you first before you make them public. So if somebody is being, because all of these, as Mr. Gaurav rightly said in the beginning, technology is there but only as a tool. Sometimes it fails you, sometimes you get trolled, sometimes you get there are hackers, as in the hacker, not the hack. So there's bullying. So it is how well you adjust to the platform, the precautions that you take, and how you use it. So everything could be termed as safe or unsafe. Even like you must have heard how Zoom was termed as the absolute unsafe medium, and yet we are here using it because it connects people beautifully and very simply. So be mindful of how you're using these tools, because all rights and wrongs belong in the same domain. It is how you use it and how you update yourself in knowing what to do and what not to do, and how to keep yourself safe online, right? Coming to, as I said in the beginning, flipped classroom. I do not know how many of you have used flipped classroom in your classrooms. What flipped classroom is exactly the opposite of what the regular classroom teaching learning scenario is. So if I may just put it in few lines, uh, in a regular scenario, a teacher introduces a topic. So the introduction of the topics, you start with the pre-learning, and then you introduce a topic, and then you take up the topic, and then you give a homework for home. In a flipped classroom, what happens is you do exactly the opposite. You give learning to the children, a prior learning to the children of a content or of something that they have not been introduced as yet. So basically, you are self-directing them, and you basically turning them towards self-learning or personalized learning. They do that reading, or they see that video that you made for them. They come to the class, and that's when you take up the session. So you do the homework in the class. What? Because they've already done the classwork in their own pace and in their own comfort at home. Parents also stay aware of what the teacher has been sending. So again, somebody may ask me कि हम flip classroom WhatsApp के through भी कर सकते हैं. We can make a video, send it, and then ask the children to do rest of the work in the class with us. That's not the right platform, and that's not the formal way of doing it. So that's why I've mentioned I like this particular one, the Flipgrid. It's free for teachers and students. Go there, make your accounts. Just like a Zoom, you have these little tiles that you can see of all the people. All your lessons, they are in a form of a tile, and you can tell your teachers every time you post one. You can tell your children about it. They will go online, read it, and it is downloadable as well. So, or another thing that, again, it's a hack. What I've been able to do is do the same thing on Instagram. But then, as I said, it will be like contradicting myself. As I said, let's not go to a medium which is not formally appropriate for children. So let's go to, if Flipgrid is meant for flipped classroom, it gives you a lot of other tools which customizes your lesson plan or your video plan or your audio plan. So the Flipgrid is not the only one. There are many others, but I found the dashboard very convenient and comfortable. That is why I'm sharing this as one of the tools. Websites, of course, people, I know of some of my children, forget about teachers, who made their own websites, the free ones. So that's another way of communicating and collaborating by creating your own website and get updated. Because whatever you have at home or elsewhere, if you bring it onto us on a cloud or a website or such a platform, it is easier for you to access, and you never have to worry about I lost this or this got deleted, right? You can always have it there. Last but not the least, for whatever we have spoken till date, I mean till now, I've seen a lot of people use hashtags, but they really do not know what they use it for and how it should be used. It's like I've seen people use a hashtag for I love the weather. So hashtag I, hashtag love, hashtag hashtag weather. That's incorrect. You're not supposed to do that. Hashtags are a way where the internet curates things of similar kind under the same umbrella. So if it is hashtag tech hacks, then everybody in the world who's ever curated or shared anything for tech hacks will be under that hashtag only. So hashtag English comprehension. So everything under English comprehension or hashtag English grade 6. So these are the hashtags. They're very generic, very common. However, use it appropriately based on the content that you're using. So if you're talking about, let me take the same example as respiratory system. So my hashtags would be very similar to the content that I have video posted, audio posted, or on a blog or Instagram or Twitter or wherever, or Facebook. Even Facebook is now, it takes hashtags. Earlier it didn't. So it'll be hashtag grade 6 science, hashtag respiratory system, hashtag grade 6, hashtag science, right? So use the hashtags effectively so that you can discover other people who are sharing the same common content. So it helps you use it. And keep a space between one hashtag word and the other. Don't just kind of hashtag science, hashtag grade, don't just put it in one single line. So if it is hashtag science, one space, hashtag grade 6 science, one space, hashtag science or respiratory system, right? And if you are still unable to understand, my suggestion is go to anybody's Instagram or Twitter post and see how they use it. You will know how you're supposed to use
I
it.
can quickly add to it. So if you allow me, Supriti.
Yeah, please,
So
please.
what happens is, example, you took up a class which was for your example. This is Tech Hack. So we create a IPN masterclass as a hashtag example. Now the session is today. Supriti has deliberated and people have spoken about it. And now whosoever has gone on the internet and posted anything, and still they have captured it by a hashtag, or they have either prefixed it or suffixed it by a hashtag, which is IPN masterclass. So after say 7 days, if I got to know about your session, which I could not attend, right? But then if I just go on the internet and put that hashtag, so whatever the story or threads have gone around IPN masterclass, which is to do with your session, will be pulled under one thread actually. So I can actually start reading it from there on. And I'll be actually abreast with the same terminology or whatever you took up in the session. It's
so that is why. So it's very important to know the importance of hashtags and use it effectively.
Absolutely.
It helps you curate and find stuff under the same umbrella, right? So I think I have covered just about everything. There may be a couple of more slides and I'll be through. These are all social media icons that you can see on your screen. I have talked about some. You may be on a lot of. Snapchat is one very common with all the youngsters these days. All of that can be used to your advantage as a teacher. You just have to figure out what kind of a hack you want to apply to it. All right. So coming to my, how do you support your learners with all this? My question to you is, what do you want? What do you want and what do you want your children to do with technology? Again, since had it been an interactive session, I would have put you in groups and asked you to brainstorm. But since we can't do that, I'll have to kind of show you my next slide. So what you want to do with technology is, so there's a right side which is a blue column and there's a light blue column. on the left. So the answers that I've gotten mostly are here. What you can see, the answers that I mostly get is make PowerPoints or Prezis or Amaze. Prezi and Emaze is an alternative to PowerPoint, free alternatives to PowerPoint, and beautiful ones. So you get to make, teachers say, okay, we get to make these PowerPoint Prezis or Amazes for our children for their learning. The answer that I get is start a blog, create questionnaires, assessments, quizzes, publish Animotos. We talked about what Animotos are. Teachers create them and they publish them in their accounts. Children use it to learn. Then produce videos and podcasts. We talked about that. Post to Edmodo, develop apps. Right? And then comes the other aspect to what you're doing when you've learned all this. You make a PowerPoint or a Prezi or Image to raise awareness. You create a blog or start a blog to start conversations and share viewpoints. You create questionnaires, not because you're a teacher and you do pass and fail anybody, but for your children to find solutions and answers. You publish Animotos so that your children can create Animotos based on the questions that you've asked in those assessments. You produce videos and podcasts because you want to set a changed mindset. You post to Edmodo because you want to make a difference. You develop an app or your child develops an app. So that's just not, it doesn't stop there. It is to take an action, and it is for driving a certain change. So what you see on the right side is the tool that you used it for. And this is what it does as an outcome for you or your child or your children. Because all these that I've shared, your children are already at it, and probably they are better, the senior graders. So it's whatever you are learning, my suggestion is keep your children also abreast. Of course, if they're going to be on the same platform with you, they will learn faster than you. And in the end, never ever, like which I always say, technology is to be always considered a tool and not a learning outcome. The learning outcome is what the action of that usage of that tool is going to create for you or for your children. So using that technology as a tool, you can make a difference in your children's life and make your life simpler. So in the end, probably I'll just wrap up with this suggestion that if you're doing distance learning with your children, if you're doing online classes, all these hacks, all these tools are going to help you a great deal. However, one thing that all of us or we as teachers forget is you become so excited, or so you're so passionate about teaching online that you forget that those are children, and you're not the only one teaching. There could be other teachers teaching. So a child could be sitting in front of a screen for 3 hours. So, and nobody would realize that that child has been sitting, whereas for you it must be for just 40 minutes. So create those little physical games for your children, like a circle time that you would have. So before you start a lesson, maybe, like, you will not listen to me because you are all adults and you have your own mindset. When I take an online class, I tell the children, okay, children, stand up and wriggle your hands, or bend down, touch your toes, or make an 8 with your waist. So it's fun for them. They feel energized. It's a physical task that you've given. It's funny. And all you've done is basically energize their brains. Now ask them to sit down and take your class. Or if you're more creative, maybe you do ask them a little storytelling with them with just using hand gestures. You tell them, okay, I will say a word, tell me that word just using your fingers and your hands. So you'll get all those funny answers. It just energizes their brain. So keep that in mind when you're doing online teaching with all the tools that you learned about, because in the end, you have to keep your child learning energized and focused. You need them to be with you. So the possibilities of all these tools is immense, provided you use it to your advantage. So get collaborative, go digital, keep learning. In the end, it is all about how you update yourself, given the scenario that we are in, and how your children learn from you, right? So I think with this, I wrap up the session. What you see on your screen is a little takeaway for all of you. The link, the little blue links are shorteners. Using shorteners, I've shortened the links. So what is it for? I've mentioned that as well. So there are 5 links. Don't think they are just 5. If you open them and see, they'll be close to few hundred, if not 500 or more. So you really don't know, you really don't need anything else for the rest of the lockdown months. If you just use these 5 curated ones, these are specifically tried and tested, used in the class by my teachers, by myself, some from my friends. So they will help you a great deal and they'll keep you engaged. So this is a little takeaway that we have curated, IPN and I have curated for all of you to use and upgrade yourself. Now I think I am open for questions for all these dedicated teachers. So you have a question, either type it out or you can throw it at me. I'll try and answer.
So what I'll do is, Supriti, if I can stop the sharing part, will that work? Now, obviously, you will remain in the front. So what? Let me quickly do a couple of things before we go there. These are my broad observations, and this will only help us better as a teacher, because see, I also have to navigate sometimes. So I was hosting the session with the principals who are far more disciplined, if I may say, and not just disciplined. The idea is that because the number was like in 160 or 170, this is a large number. We had almost 303 people today. So a couple of observations, ladies and gentlemen, which is, let me just quickly share with you one thing which I have observed. Now, no matter if you're using a Zoom, you're using a Microsoft Team, or you are using a Google Meet, my fundamental suggestion to all of you as a teacher is to please first go through a tutorial of all these platforms. It is very, very imperative that now look at me, the way I had to eventually say, raise my voice. I mean, I usually would not like to do that in a conversation like this. And I can now attribute to the fact, for a very simple reason, that you were not really aware of how to use it. So it is purely because of your non-knowledge about it, which is why you were, as simple a thing which is muting yourself, you are unable to do it, right? So I've been using Zoom for the past 45 days, so I pretty much know 50% of it yet, and I don't know 50% of it. But then imagine you are in a very dynamic classroom. So technology is all about, firstly, knowing technology, how it is used, all that. So all these global platforms, when we talk about Microsoft Teams or Zoom, or for that matter, any other tool, please do go through their tutorials. Okay, that's my suggestion, so that you become a far more adaptive user of it. You look smarter in front of that technology which you are using, right? Number one. Number two, obviously, thanks to Supriti for a lovely session. And if I tell you, I'm not just saying this because, I mean, she's my friend. So having said this, but a lot of the things which she presented, which I was also, I mean, at least I was 50% of the time, I was very attentive towards it. I could see that there are a lot of things which I wasn't knowing about. So example, beyond a presentee, there's called what is called Prenzi, what it is called, Prenzi or...
Prezi,
and then one more thing, right? So
I'll put that in the links.
Yeah, so I'm myself intrigued. So any session should eventually intrigue you to know more, right? It is not about only what she's telling us, that's the end of it, or wherewithal of it largely. So very, very interesting, I would say, new dimensions, at least added to me as a educationalist, if I may say. I have to know, I also have to learn new things all the time. Now, coming to the questions, because that's the very integral part of it, is that, and as I said, thank you very much, Supriti, all that is aside. But having said this, now how we will do these question and answer, we will devote a good 20 to 30 minutes on this. So feel free, whatever questions you have, but let's follow a little decorum on it. So example, if you go on your right, which is, you can see the part that you can have a show of hand. When I say show of hand, technology-wise, you don't have to just raise your hand. You can do that as well, which Supriti has already outlined in the beginning. If you want to outline it that way, which is but problem is, in my screen, I can only see 25 of you at one go. There are
They
260
can use
of us.
reactions.
Yeah, so please use reactions. So example, I can see Jyotsna Randhir as first in my queue of questioning. Disha Lakhmani is second, and Akanksha is third. So these are the three ladies who are in the queue. I'm unmuting you all now, and you can go in sequence, which is Jyotsna first, Disha second, and Akanksha third with your question. Go ahead. Jyotsna Randhir, your question, ma'am. Disha?
Thank you, ma'am, for such a lovely session. I really liked it. I just want to discuss Peer Deck once again. I did not get that. Can you please explain?
Peer Deck, as the name suggests, is a collective community of teachers where teachers who post whatever the content that they have created, and it's an interactive presentation tool used to actively engage the students. So you can also upload your existing PowerPoints, which are that dashboard converts them into a learning material for them. So teachers create presentations using their Google Drive account, and you share it on them, and the dashboard gives you a lot of other features which helps you engaging the children. So you will have to go to Peer Deck, register yourself, create an account, and then start using it. You will get a better idea of what is it used for and how is it used for, and actually it will make your life simpler if you use dashboards or applications like these.
Okay,
Otherwise,
thank you so much, ma'am.
you're welcome. Otherwise, see, in the end everybody says WhatsApp hai na, so jab sab kuch usse hi ho jayega, then how do you keep track of, in the end you have to take assessment as well, right?
Yes, yes.
So how do you keep track of that? To keep track of that, these are the tools that you need to use, depending on the age group that you're handling. So what I've shared with you is across elementary, right from kindergarten till grade 12. So there are platforms meant for age specific. The hack is all about how you're going to use it to maximize learning.
Okay.
Okay, one common question which I could see, which is coming on the chat, is we'll send you this document carrying the links, whatever I think our expert has presented. So don't worry about that. Whatever was unclear on the presentation, don't worry. Whatever utility-based things which we can share, I'll request Supriti let us share with you. So don't worry, we'll email it to you. We'll email it to your principal. Eventually, it will come through your principals to you. Okay. I'll come to Akanksha, your question. Madhuri goes after that. Yeah. Hold on, I have to unmute you, Akanksha. Just give me a moment. Yeah. Yeah, Akanksha, your question.
Yeah, hello ma'am. Thank you for such a lovely session, first of all. And ma'am, my question was that could you please name a platform wherein we can create the questionnaires and the worksheets for the children in a more interesting way, or like in a more convenient way?
So there are two ways of going about it. One, you already, whatever you need. I mean, if you can just tell me which grade are you teaching and what is your subject?
Ma'am, I'm dealing with the pre-primary kids.
Okay, so if TeachNet is one of the websites which I really love for the young ones. However, that's not the only one. There are many more good ones, as good ones as teachnet.org. My suggestion is whenever you're Googling for content or stuff that you need for your children in whichever format, be very specific about what you Google, so that you don't waste time at all, and you in the end there'll be one or maybe a couple of your favorite websites where you'll keep going, and or maybe making an account and using it for. So my personal favorite is TeachNet, as I said, but there are many other. If you could just explore it yourself for the elementary ones, you will get some phenomenal website which will help you deliver your content in the classroom or to the parent right now, because little children don't sit in front of the screen for long.
Yes, that is a major problem. So we need to create it more interesting for them.
So what I'll do is I'll share how I did it with my school. we created learning plans for the parent and not for the children. And we decided to call them learning plans all across the school. So what the lesson plan used to be has taken a shape of now known as learning plan. Especially for the little ones, what we did was we outlined whatever we were teaching them. We outlined as if we are teaching the mother or the father in a very, very simple, non-technological vocabulary manner, where we would specify what exactly we are trying to teach, what should be the outcome, what should be the objective of it, and what should be the learning outcome. We define all that, and then we give them the content. Content is curated from the internet based on the books that we have. For the same books, we also have a lot of soft content. So we picked a lot of soft content because we know our parents don't have the books. So we copy pasted that in the learning plan. Based on that content, we created games, activities, and incorporated links from YouTube, from blogs, so that parent can see and teach the way that the teacher would have taught in the classroom, so that the child doesn't
They
get
can just
confused.
connect.
Yeah. And then every weekend we have a little feedback session where we invite, let's say we're talking about nursery class, all nursery parents would come, and mothers would be very excited, sharing कि अच्छा ये अच्छा गया, this happened, I could not understand this. So we handle all of that and we share all of that. So basically it is the parent who is doing the teaching with the learning plans that we share with them. Otherwise parent to दो थप्पड़ मार के भी पढ़ाता है. We won't want to do that, isn't it? We want to do it the same way that we do it in the class, where you introduce a topic, you use all mediums, you go tactile, you go audio, you go visual, you create games. We do all of that. We put all of that in our learning plan and we share that with the parents.
Yes, ma'am.
We want our children
Thank
to
you.
come back happy. So we are
Yes.
trying to keep them happy.
Yes.
Madhuri,
Thank
Arora,
you.
your question. Madhuri, if you can introduce yourself, which city or which school are you from, that will be better. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am, and good evening, friends. I'm from Happy Day School, Shupuri.
Very
Just my question is, now we will be living in a technological world, or we will be online teachers. So one thing, the ma'am has taught us that we need to respect the technology. But the other, my concern is cyber ethics. As we were attending this session today, I think as teachers, some of the person, they are not following they are not concerning about the cyber ethics. So when we go online with the teachers, so I'm little bit worried about the cyber ethics that we need to follow as teacher, and we students also need to follow. But just my concern is for it, sir and ma'am.
So may I say something, Madhuri? Everything comes with time, and something that comes to you with like out of the blue will take slightly more time compared to something for which you go in prepared. Now let's say if I had sent a little protocol beforehand, like this is our first master class, so even I have learned from this that we should send a certain flyer or a protocol list that with proper details, how to mute and how to unmute, how to ask a question. If we send that to the participants, then I'm hoping the kind of time that we wasted would at least cut down to 50%, if not more than that, right? So that's a learning from me, that's a takeaway from me. So that beforehand we set certain protocols, we set certain guidelines, and then we do it. As adults, I feel we still take time to learn things, whereas with children, they are such curious learners and they're such natural adopters that once you tell them, they will listen. We've been doing it and we've seen the difference. And I can say, I mean, it's silly to say, but I'll still say it, that children somehow respond to all of it better and faster compared to adults. Yeah. So set the guideline and the protocol.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good. No, as far as guidelines go, Suprati, what we did was obviously we were not directly communicating with the teachers. We had sent this to their principals largely.
Okay.
And in that, we had a very clear note which is about do's and don'ts. But then interestingly, I mean, as I said, that's what I said, tutorial. And it is for me as well. When I use any platform for the first time, one has to know about the platform to be a better participant of that platform. I'm skipping one question because your name is your car vehicle name, which is TUV 300. So interestingly, if you know or if you want to still call out yourself, I will go to Sir Sabreen Ali. Your question, I have unmuted you now. Sudha ji, after
Yeah,
that, Gupta, you can come after that.
good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Sabreen.
Yeah, I'm from Bhopal. I teach in Bal Bhavan School.
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am, I wanted to know more about Google Classroom.
Okay, mine is a Google school. We use G Suite extensively. We do a lot of, in fact, we're gradually shifting entirely to the G Suite and the Google Classroom. So it is not something that I can share it in just like 5 minutes or 2 minutes, but knowing that this was coming my way, the links that have been shared, one is dedicated only to Google Classroom. So everything that you want to know about Google Classroom is in there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sudha Gupta, your question, ma'am. Sudha Gupta, if you're there. आपने बोला था मुझे unmute कर दीजिए.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am.
Yes, good evening.
Hello. Yeah, good evening, ma'am. I would like to ask what is a Flipgrid?
Flipgrid is a platform which you can use for your flip classroom, which I think I mentioned while we were talking about it, when we were talking about sharing and collaborating. So it's an effective way to hold a class where you turn the homework you bring the homework into the classroom and your classwork goes to the child does it at its own pace. It's a self-directed learning platform. So Flipgrid is a platform wherein you can do your flip classroom teaching.
Okay, thank you.
There are many other. I've chosen Flipgrid. Sangeeta had a question to ask. She had messaged me. I saw
Anyone can ask the question. Just come on the, I would say, reaction window. If you can have a show of hands. So let me show you how it is. I have at the bottom of my, on my screen, there's a thumbs up coming in. Now this is example, it can be operated by reactions. If you look at the bottom of your screen, there's something called reactions, right? Disha has already done that. Disha, your question is already done. So I'll go to the next span. Priyanka Verma, your question. Yeah, Priyanka, you can ask your question after that. Urvashi Rajput after that. Okay.
Thanks for such a nice session.
Thank you.
We got to know many things. My concern is about Nearpod. First thing, I have two questions. Basically, first thing I want to know about Nearpod. Secondly, I want to know about any platform for assessment. Like these days, we are taking our classes on Google Classroom, on Ecovation, and there are so many apps, Blue Jeans, Zoom, etc., etc. But one concern that we are having a large number of audience. Like one section, 300 students are there, and it is not practically possible to check all those 300 assignments that we are getting back. Though we are not getting 300, we are getting 50% of the same. But even then, 50% means 150 or so. So is there any platform or something like that?
There is. So all the platforms that I shared with you today, that is why they are convenience based and they are convenient for a teacher to use instead of just taking pictures and sending on WhatsApp and doing it that way. So when a student sends in his or her response, the way it is outlined before you on the dashboard makes it easier for you as a teacher to check. So whether it is 100 or 300, as it is also, if you had been in a physical school, if you have 300 children in your sections, you would have checked, isn't it? You would have checked it in hard copy. Here, if you do it on the right platform, your work is much more simpler than checking in physically in a notebook. Your work is much more simpler because you, just like I can see everybody in a grid, you can also see every child's response in a grid or in an outlined manner, where it becomes simpler for you to not only check but highlight, make a little remark, give a little grade or a mark or a sign or a symbol or a smiley or whatever. You can do all of that, but you have to be on the right platform to be able to do it. So somebody asked me about, I think you only asked me about Nearpod. So Nearpod does that all for you. So as I said, I have curated of stuff which I have tried and tested myself or used in the or I'm using now. So I'm sure there are others. which I would love if you could explore and share it back with me, because that's what is sharing all about. So I brought a Nearpod for you because it's something that I've tested. So if that answers your question, that it is possible to check only every child's work only if you're on the right platform.
Okay, quickly telling few. Now there are a series of questions which I could see. So Urvashi, is your question is next. After that, I think I saw someone is Sandra by the name of, yeah, I can unmute
Hello.
you. Yeah, we'll come to you.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
We'll come to you.
Hello.
Then
Good evening,
Sangeeta
ma'am. This is
Sharma.
Urvashi here, ma'am.
Yes, Urvashi.
Yeah, Urvashi,
Ma'am,
you can
please
ask
let.
your question. Hold on, Urvashi. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Give me a moment.
Okay. Okay, sir.
What I'm saying is you are next in your question. After that, I go to Sangeeta Sharma ji. Ma'am जो हैं, उसके बाद Ritika have also asked. So example, if I'm unable to trace your questions, you can post it on the chat window as well. So I'll read all the places wherever I can. Then Ruchika Diwan. Okay, that will be the sequence. So if you can go ahead with Urvashi, now your question. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Hello, ma'am. Good evening. This is Urvashi here, ma'am. Ma'am, please let me know what is Edmodo. Please elaborate this, ma'am.
Dekho, I will
And
give
ma'am,
you.
second question is also there. How we use Google Drive as an organizer? I think so. Google Drive is used for transferring files and get backup our files.
Yeah.
So how it we use?
So
Can
I
we
will
use one?
start with the Edmodo part of it. As I said
Yes,
earlier,
ma'am.
it's an educational website which takes the ideas of the social network and converts
Okay.
it into appropriate classroom curriculum content for you. So it's a very formal teacher-led community platform which helps any teacher, if you have an account, to customize, curate content which helps your children. So that's what Edmodo does. So instead of just going to any website here and there, try and explore Edmodo. You will love it. Coming to your next question, the Google Drive. If you open the Google Drive dashboard, you will see, as I said, and I started my presentation when we started it was about self-learning, and then there was another which was about organizing. In organizing, the first point that I took up was email. If you, similarly with the Drive, if you open the dashboard of your Google Drive, you will see a lot of icons, which I'm sure you would have never clicked and seen what are they meant for. You can create folders, you can create post-its, you can create and put your stuff in a manner which belongs into that folder only, so that in future, if you need to share that folder with your children or with your co-teacher or a family member, you only share that instead of your entire drive. So organizing your drive is also very important. You can't just throw everything in just as a backup. Sometimes take out time and go to your Drive dashboard and organize your stuff so that you put everything, all your selfies in one, all your other family photos in one, all your lesson plans in one, all your assessments in the other. So you can do all of that, name it, and automatically it kind of, you click on, when you click and you secure it, send it to the Drive, it goes into that folder.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Sangeeta Sharma, your question.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi,
Good evening, ma'am.
Sangeeta.
Hello, ma'am. I'm so happy to see you
Same
and
here,
hear you
same
and hear
here.
you after so many years.
I know.
You are an inspiration. You were the first who asked me to come on Twitter, and I was away from Twitter, and you made me to go.
And I must tell you this, and I don't mind saying it in front of everybody. I am so impressed with how you've taken your learning journey from when I met you for the first time in a Gwalior in that training, and where you are right now. I give your example to a lot of my own teachers and my friends, and very happy to see you how you've been progressing.
Both the cases IP in masterclass, by the way, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Only one question I have, that there are many things you have already told, and I will be exploring them. One thing is that how are you connecting, or you are taking the PTM along with the teacher? How can we conduct PTMs?
I am still, I'm doing it. In fact, my last PTM, I'm going to miss it. It's at 6 o'clock. So we spread our PTM over 3 days. And what we did, I have 5 coordinators. I have 2 coordinators and 5 wing in charges.
Okay.
So those wing in charges are responsible for the teachers under their wing. So for example, yesterday was my pre-primaries PTM. So we created the PTM on Zoom.
Okay.
We made sure that the wing in charges PTM is the first and foremost, in which I also sat. If I'm unavailable, one of my coordinators would sit. If somebody insists ki principal se hi baat karna, then of course I go online. Otherwise, the wing in charge, and she's also the class teacher, she takes it. Then we slated, and these are all within, let's say we started at 9 in the morning, it was till 5 in the evening, with breaks in between, because the wing in charge has to be in every section.
Okay.
He takes down all the problems that the parents
So
face.
on Zoom,
Yes.
means the way we are
Yes,
communicating the
yes,
same
it's
way?
the same way.
Okay.
Same way. We did it the same way. We're doing it, doing pretty well. Today is our 2nd day, and tomorrow will be our 3rd day.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Ruchika Diwan. I think that's Ruchika, right? If I'm right, Ruchika Diwan, your question, and then we go to Sandra Fortle. Yeah, that's your name, Sandra. We'll come to you. Ruchika, your question.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes,
good evening, ma'am. It was really an informative session. I am from Cambridge International School, Patti.
Okay.
And our area is a very remote area.
Okay.
And parents are not much comfortable with technology.
Okay.
And though they do not feel the same experience as these are virtual classes, they do not experience the same thing as with the real-time classes.
Okay.
But I try my best to make it more interactive. So my question here is, yes, ma'am. My question here is, if I want to assess my students, is there any app for conducting online tests?
Google Forms is one way, one very easy way. A lot of see, whatever medium you choose on whatever platform, whether it is Flipgrid, Google Forms, Edmodo, or whichever. In the end, one question remains, because that's a question which has come from my teachers as well, that what if the parent is prompting, or what if the child is teaching, if the child is cheating, if the child is older.
Yes.
So that should not be your concern at this point in time. Given this scenario that we are in, our job is to make the child feel comfortable and teach. When you say teach, it does not stop at just teach. It comes, or rather it becomes a subset of another word, a complementary word, which is learn. So teaching, learning has to happen. So you as a teacher may be teaching. If learning is not happening, what good is your assessment? So don't bother about your assessment. Do give assessments. I'm not saying don't give. Do give it. But I am sure every parent would want the best for their children. And I'm sure you would give this instruction when the child is taking in the assessment. Please sit with your child, supervise your child. One of the parents should sit there. So even if they cheat, it doesn't matter. Because in the end, that is the kind of learning that is happening at home. And I'm sure, before you send in the questionnaire, you will say all of this. Dear children, it is for your children's interest, in their benefit. Please refrain from suggesting responses. Please refrain from telling them the answers. Let them do it themselves. We are not going, it is not for failing or passing. It is more the child will not feel like cheating. When you play all those games on Facebook or elsewhere, I mean, that is also a kind of taking one question after the other. Do you cheat? No, you don't cheat. You still want to see, okay, kitne right hue, kitne nahi. So the idea
and ma'am,
here,
Google.
Yeah, please.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Ma'am, Google Form allows only MCQs. Multiple choice questions only.
Mostly, yes. No, it allows you to write answers.
No, you can have your
you write your answers also. You can write text.
Subjective
Also.
also.
Yeah. Yes. this is also the time wherein you as a teacher should explore how can you give such creative assessments where you know your child has researched and given his own responses. Don't go bookish, don't go by what is there. I mean, go where the child's mind is free to answer whatever you've thrown at him or her based on the content you teach. Of course, science which is factual, that will remain factual. But you can do it with languages, right? Somebody asked,
Sandra, your
I
question.
think Disha wanted to know.
Sandra, your
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Welcome. Before I answer, before Sandra asks, Disha had a question. She's written, is it possible to download a YouTube video and give a voiceover? Okay, I must mention one thing here, which I should have mentioned. Whatever you download from wherever and customize it to your need, kindly give proper credits to where you have taken it from. Otherwise, you will get into a case of plagiarism, which is not right. I mean, it's an offense. It's a
a
criminal
lot of
offense
things,
as well.
even copyright issues for that matter. Always just give credits for that matter.
Always give credits to whether you've taken music, whether you've taken video, whether you've taken content, whatever. Give credit to that site wherever, or that person whose blog you've taken it from. Always do that. Now coming to Disha's question, that is why I was reminded of this to share with you.
Fair enough.
Disha said, can we download video? You can, but then it is somebody else's work, right? So if you're doing it at a local level and not putting it online again, I would still say it's okay. However, if it goes online, I don't think it is justified that you've taken somebody else's video, muted that person's audio or music, and then given your voiceover. So it's not justified, it's not right. But as I said, your intention is to teach your children. So you may use it, but as I said, give credit throughout the video. Give credit that the video belongs to this. I am using it for learning purposes, and hence the voiceover. How to mute the other person's? So when you've downloaded a particular video, there are a lot of video cropping or video editing tools. One of them that I use extensively is InShot. If you put your video in InShot, there's an option of muting. There's the microphone option. If you click on it, it mutes the entire music or whatever voice is there, and then you can record your own over it. That's one application that you can use. There are many others. You can use Video Shop is there apart from InShot.
We have last 3 questions. We will take.
Please take care of plagiarism. Please do not take somebody else's work and publish it as yours, because that's not right.
Sandra, your question, Ritika, your question, and Binita ji's your question. With that we conclude the session for today. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Good evening, ma'am, and thank you very much for your session.
You're welcome.
And I would just like to tell you, I'm from Mumbai, teaching in Kohinoor International School, and I'm working for the kindergarten session, that is Kohinoor Blossom. Okay. So to tell you that we started our curriculum, our academic year in the month of March. Okay. And so that's the time the lockdown started, and we had our sessions throughout the month of April. That is twice a week we used to have our Zoom sessions.
Okay.
So when we found that children are not sitting actually concentrating on the screen.
They won't.
So yeah. So now in the month of June, we're going to plan to have it every day. Okay. And you just mentioned that it is now it's of no use. So what do you suggest for that? Should we continue taking daily?
My suggestion to you would be, especially for these younger ones, if you really want to be interactive and stay connected with them so that they see you may not be saving. Go and open your own channel and post videos. Talk in front of the camera as if you're talking to your children and post that. Give them the semblance of a real classroom that they may still watch, and don't make it very long, not more than 5 to 8 minutes. 8 minutes is also long, not more than 5 minutes, I would suggest. Make it short ones. 1.5 to 5 minutes.
For 35 minutes.
No. They will not. We tried and tested. It didn't work. So what is working is we post them. If not, my teachers are posting if they are not posting their own videos, they are finding YouTube URLs, which we know children would love it. Yeah. And which match our content. So we share that with the parent. We put that in our learning plan. We make a PDF out of it. All the links are active in that. We share that with the parent. The parent goes step by step as per the learning plan. They click on the link. They make the children watch it, and then they do rest of the exercises and activities. And at the end of the week, we meet together on Zoom and we address the parents. We try and understand what went wrong and what did well. So we try and incorporate all that. With children, their attention span is very little, very less. So it's difficult for them to be sitting in front. Unless you put some cartoon or something, they would watch that for 35 minutes or maybe an hour. But you teaching them, after 5 minutes, they'll lose their interest. They won't want to.
Ritika, your question. Ritika.
Yeah. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Right. To begin with, thank you so much for the invigorating session. It was very, very interesting.
Thank you.
I have two questions, ma'am. One is regarding all the information that you gave us. Now, these are concerning all purely academic classes. What about sessions such as drama or performance arts? Are you, as a principal in your school, also using any of these platforms to conduct performing arts programs?
Yes, yes. I'm using, for physical education, I'm using the Zoom session as well, and the channels, YouTube channel and the Instagram. And for dance, I'm using, not for music as such, because we are still figuring out how to. Because see, music is, you need to see the response. So when a teacher is teaching, you need to hear what the child will repeat or sing like. So that we have not been able to figure out how to be interactive in that subject. However, in music also, we are sending them links to pick up whatever is part of the curriculum for that particular quarter. But for dance and for PE, we are using the YouTube channel our teacher has created. So there are certain children who have taken Kathak up. So he's created those. Initially, he was doing it on TikTok, but then everybody got very sentimental about it, that TikTok is a Chinese app. So he deleted that app, and now he's put everything on YouTube. So he posts those videos. He makes his own videos. He posts those videos, and then the link goes to the parent, and children see that. So there are Zumba classes happening via Zoom. There are Kathak classes happening via Zoom. Then we have a virtual party also on Zoom, where we just do, okay, last 10 minutes only music will be played. The teacher is going to play music. Everybody just dance and jump in front of the screen. So you have to find new ways to keep them engaged, so that by the end of the lesson, they know, okay, I must attend this teacher's lesson, because in the end, she does this, or she will do some mystery game with me, or a riddle.
Right.
So you have to keep them engaged. Otherwise, you see, it is very boring for children to just look at their teacher rattle out, and teacher is feeling very happy because she is getting to speak without anybody speaking. She's muted all children and she is continuing to speaking. So that's not teaching. So teaching is when you engage children with you, and they are in that learning process with you.
Yeah, it's both ways. Second question, ma'am, is that according to you as the head of school, you have, and many other principals also, are working very, very tirelessly towards the online platform for all the course, material that they are ongoing. Now, do you feel that this kind of platform is equally good, or do you feel, and have you found any kind of shortcomings between actual physical face-to-face touch and feel learning and online? Do you think it's working equally well?
I will say nothing can replace the one-on-one or the classroom experience, come what may. I mean, that's something, even with the social media, which is for fun, if we take that aspect also, so you may be friends with hundreds of people on Facebook, but meeting your friend in real life has a different experience, isn't it? So this online experience is new and is going to be here for a while. However, nothing can replace the bonding that a teacher has, the expression that you can look at your child and figure out what's going on in his or her mind. That's missing in this platform. Your children can figure out, okay, whether ma'am is in what kind of a mood, whether I can demand for a certain extra goodies from her, looking just at her face, or how you just go and pat your child's back when the child has done well. That's all missing. So online platform will never replace the physical presence or the connect of a teacher and a child in a class. However, one has to flow with what the situation or the scenario demands. If this keeps our children safe, then we will continue to explore and make it more meaningful, make it more valuable, make it more fun for them for as long as it is required. Maybe we'll get better at it. But again,
Yeah.
again, it can't replace the actual presence in the class.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
last
Thank
question, Vinita Jaiswal, and you can unmute yourself. I'm trying to unmute you, but sadly I'm failing. Your question. You're not audible. Vinita Jaiswal. Okay, so I'll take the last question, which is by the user Redme. I think, ma'am, your name is not indicated, but let me just unmute you. You can ask your question.
Ma'am, how do you have virtual parties?
How do
Wow,
I have?
brilliant question.
Okay.
Virtual parties.
Okay, for virtual part. Okay, there's a lot of noise coming in.
आपके यहाँ से बंद कर देता हूँ मैं. उन्हीं का, that's a disturbance from her side only, so I muted her now. Anyway,
Okay.
you can
So
answer.
how do I have virtual parties? Okay, we first of all we do tell them. Surprise. Sometimes it is a surprise. Sometimes it is something that we tell them, and we tell them sit with your favorite snack. The snack has to be healthy. So make sure you have either you made your own jam and bread sandwich, or your mama has made a roti roll for you. Because we're going to tell you what we do in the end. We're going to have. So you have to inform them, and the teacher has to select a playlist of at least, let's say, two songs minimum, which you know your children will be very happy to listen to and have fun, and then dance with them in front of the screen. That's it. That's a virtual party.
So I think we are done. Thank you very much. It's already 6 o'clock, so I don't want to go any further. I'm sure all of you have to catch up with your work as well. So thank you, each one of you who have joined us. We still have 105 participants. Pleasure having all of you. And more than that, I'm sure you guys can go and follow Supriti on the Twitter. Stay in touch with her, whatever you have as your queries. She's a wonderful mentor. And I think this should not be the end of the session. This should be the beginning of learning for all of us, largely, right? So having said this, thank you for joining in. I hope we added value to whatever we did for you. So, and we truly want that you are doing a great job as a teacher. It's a tough time for all of you, but we are all at every capacity of us. We are with you. Any support needed at the IPN end, you can go to the IPN handle, or you can have anyway, if you want to reach out to us or the mentor of ours, we will be more than happy to support you in any way we can. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Supriti. It was a pleasure having you with us as a matter of fact, right? And I'm just mentioning this, Sangeeta attended your IPN masterclass in Gwalior, which was actually our first physical masterclass, by the way.
Yes.
So I have not broken the tradition of bringing Supriti as my first in the virtual as well. So we are pretty consistent about the way we do things. So thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Take care,
everyone.
all of
Bye-bye,
you.
everyone.
See you.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Yeah.